Hello, welcome back to Xanthus Gaming. We're here today in Soulstone Survivors with another build guide. This build guide is for the Barbarian, and it's kind of a Berserker style build. The basic idea behind this build is you want to build up stacks of bleed and hemorrhage, and you want to use Scent of Blood to skyrocket your attack speed through the roof. You also want to kind of max out your area so that you can cover the whole screen with all your abilities. So you're stacking massive amounts of bleed, massive amounts of hemorrhage very quickly, and then you're detonating them with Subdue. That's the nuts and bolts of it. Let's go into kind of how to build it out. This is after I've already cleared the initial thing. I ended up getting all the way to, oh man, it was quite a ways. It was Endless 4 is where I eventually died, and it did such good damage. You can kind of see there the output damage of this build is just nuts. So let's go into how do we build it. So first we're going to talk about the runes that you're going to use. With this build you want to use Recklessness. Recklessness is absolutely huge. For every 1 point of health you lose, you get 1% or 0.5% damage increase. So basically for each 2 HP you lose, you get a % extra damage, right? As you build, as you go into the endless modes, you start scaling more and more max HP. This means once you get up to 600% life, or 600 life, once you get down real low, you're getting anywhere from like 300 to 400% damage multiplier. So just a massive amount of damage. The more health you have, the more effective it is, and the better you survive overall. Very good rune. We take reroll mastery so we can kind of fine tune the build exactly how we want to have it. This is really important because we do want some pretty specific things, and we will have to roll a lot to get those things. Generalist is a massive damage multiplier. Once you get Chromatic Bolt, it does just so much extra damage. I can't remember exactly how many types are on Chromatic Bolt, but I know it has all of the elements. I don't know if it has all the types, period, but even with just all the elements, that's like 9 or 10 types. So if you're figuring 5% per, that's basically purity without any of the downside, or focus fire without any of the downside. It's fantastic. It's just a ton of damage. Executioner is just an extra damage booster too, because we'll be stacking a lot of different types of damage. I just went with Executioner. You could go with Purity as well and try to focus entirely on bleed and frailty and hemorrhage, but I went the other way and did Executioner. Either one I think would be perfectly viable though with this build. Purity would have a much better time early on. I think Executioner has a higher higher ceiling for like clearing, just because once you get into those higher endless modes, you're stacking 12, 13 different debuff types, so it ends up scaling a little bit better, I think. All right, on to the next section, which is our stat priorities. Stat priorities for this build, especially at the very beginning, you need to get your movement speed up so you don't die. Agility, as you can see right there, funnily enough, is your highest priority until you can easily dodge boss mechanics. As long as you can survive the first couple boss waves, you will clear this run, if you can get your agility up to being able to survive. Area effect increases obviously make it so your Blade Storm hits the entire map, but more importantly, so that your Subdue hits the entire map, because Subdue is the large majority of your damage. And just, little bonus, it increases the area of effect of Shrapnel Bomb for its initial impact before it starts spreading those bleeds. So that's pretty cool too. Crit chance up to 100 is awesome because there are several passives in the game that proc either frailty or bleed off of crits, and you're scaling off both of those things. So it's real good. Multicast obviously makes it so you throw out more bombs, do more subdues, spin quicker, yada yada yada. It's just kind of a no-brainer talent to take. Cooldown reduction is what this entire build centers around, because that's exactly what Scent of Blood gives you, which is how you start hitting so fast, so hard. So, makes sense to stack more cooldown reduction. Frailty will give you just damage multipliers and stacks up just so much with this build. You get into those higher endless stages, you start stacking 400 or 500% frailty on them. It just is so much extra damage. So, you know, prioritizing that if there's no other good pick is a good way to go. Alright, so now let's talk about the different abilities that we're going to use. As I just mentioned, Scent of Blood will increase your attack speed based on the number of stacks of bleed or hemorrhage within the area that it's searching for X amount of seconds. This just scales out of control as you start getting more and more bleed chance, more and more attack speed. It just gets nuts. I think the highest I've seen it go is 900% attack speed as pretty much a permanent uptime. That's real crazy. So once you get that 900% attack speed, your Subdue is going to detonate all of your abilities to add bleed, which is going to be all of your abilities. Just because you're going to get the bleed on crit, and you're going to get your crit chance up to 100. So it's going to detonate those for X amount of damage per stack. And it hits like a Mack truck. As you saw at the end there, it was by far my highest damage ability. Just absolutely crazy damage. Up in, I think it was like 6 billion it ended up being for this run, which is far and away the highest I've ever seen. Blade Storm is there so that you apply those debuffs to everyone on the screen constantly. Stack up that damage, stack up those bleed stacks. It's just all around a great skill. Chromatic Bolt provides you your massive damage multiplier for Generalist, and Throwing Axe gives you a ranged way to apply hemorrhage. Sometimes there's not a safe way to be close enough to hit him with anything other than Blade Storm, so, you know, the Throwing Axe solves that purpose. I also did a run with the Hemorrhage Totems, and that seemed to work pretty well too. I think the Throwing Axe might be a little better, but it's pretty close. It's kind of hard to tell. They both seem good in their own ways. I think the Throwing Axe benefits more from multicast though. And then Shrapnel Bomb is a way for you to apply ranged bleed, which is of course the thing that scales your Scent of Blood, that scales your Subdue. It all just synergizes together. Here's an overview screen for you if you want to take a screenshot so you can use this later. I'll leave it up on the screen for a couple seconds. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. I'll upload the raw footage from this run as a separate video, and this video will link to that with the time card that should be popping up right about now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you like, favorite, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.